All right, Raiders fans, strap in because we need to talk about where this team is and, honestly, where it's been heading all season long. It's been rough. 2 wins, 10 losses, and if you've been watching, you know this is not just bad luck or a rough patch. It's a full-on rebuild in progress, and it shows every time we step on the field. Week 1 was a little bright spot with a win against New England, but ever since then, we've been struggling to even look competitive. The Tennessee Titans are the only other team we've managed to beat, and even those games feel more like flashes of what could be rather than proof of a team that's really figured itself out. And yet, you listen to a press conference, and you'd think we're some polished, well-oiled machine. Honestly, if you caught the latest from Pete Carroll, you might leave the room thinking the Raiders are in a totally different place than reality. You hear talk about good communication, Geno Smith playing well, and everything sounds like a rosy, idealized version of the season. But if you step back and watch the games, it's painfully clear that we're far from fine. The truth is, being a beat reporter isn't easy. It's a privilege to have access to a head coach, to ask questions in the room, and to try to get answers that actually matter. But here's the kicker. Too often, the questions being asked are weak, soft, and completely disconnected from the reality fans are living. Watching that press conference, I couldn't believe the tone of some of the inquiries. It's like everyone's pretending that 2 wins and 10 losses don't matter, or that a quarterback throwing 14 interceptions doesn't need real accountability. It's exhausting to watch because fans want answers that reflect the season we're living, not some rehearsed, pre-approved lines that don't address the real issues. Let's talk about the coach for a second. Pete Carroll looks worn out. He's a 74-year-old man managing a team that feels like a newborn. Fragile, in need of constant attention, and unpredictable. And that's exactly what this Raiders team is right now, raw, undeveloped, and still very much under construction. Listening to the press conference, you can see the confusion, the lack of answers, and the struggle just to present optimism in the face of constant setbacks. You want honesty. You want acknowledgement of the problems, not rehearsed lines about the mentality being worth fighting for. The mentality is worth fighting for? We get it. But what about the practical side, the on-field struggles, the quarterback play, the offensive line failures, the missed opportunities week after week? That's what fans want to hear addressed because it's real, it's raw, and it's the truth about the state of the Raiders right now. Accountability is a big deal. Geno Smith has struggled on and off the field. His body language, his interactions with fans, and his inability to consistently perform put the team in a tough spot. And yet, questions about him are often framed in a way that skirts the hard reality. This isn't about putting a player down unfairly. It's about understanding the decisions being made and the impact on a season that is already slipping away. Why not start another quarterback if it's clear that the current option isn't working? Why keep Aiden O'Connell as an emergency quarterback week after week when fans are desperate to see him play? These aren't ridiculous questions. They're basic inquiries into leadership, roster management, and the strategy that could at least give the team a chance to turn things around or plan effectively for the future. The offensive line has been another glaring issue. 26 sacks over 4 weeks without JPJ shows exactly how much the interior line struggles. Players like DJ Glaze and Stone Forsythe have had moments. But overall, the protection has been a disaster, leaving Geno exposed and the offense scrambling to make plays under constant pressure. It's impossible to overstate how critical these elements are. The line isn't just a statistic. It's the foundation of any quarterback's ability to execute the game plan. And yet, in the press conference, the focus drifts elsewhere, away from the reality that the Raiders' offensive performance has been undermined by systemic failures. Fans deserve clarity, not reassurances that sound comforting but lack substance. The disconnect between what's said in the room and what's happening on the field is striking. Beat reporters have a chance to bridge that gap, to ask meaningful questions that reflect the frustrations and concerns of Raiders Nation. Too often, they fall into routine, asking the same soft questions that lead to rehearsed responses. This isn't just frustrating. It's part of why people turn to independent voices on YouTube and social media. Content creators can ask what the fans want to know because we're not constrained by the same soft scripts or pre-approved lines. We can be honest, we can dig into issues, and we can challenge leadership in ways that fans are craving. The season may be 2 wins, 10 losses, but that doesn't mean we stop demanding accountability and transparency. If anything, it means we need it more than ever. Fans aren't asking for the impossible. They're asking for answers that reflect the struggles on the field, that address the questions that actually matter, and that hold both players and coaches accountable. 9 questions, simple, straightforward, and meaningful, can start to peel back the layers of this rebuild and show what's really happening behind the curtain. Why is Geno still starting? Why is Aiden O'Connell still emergency? What's the strategy behind these decisions? Why wasn't JPJ utilized at center earlier when the line's been struggling so badly? These are questions that cut through the fluff and get to the point. They're not personal attacks. They're about understanding the operations of a team that has a long way to go. And until someone asks those questions, until someone holds the system accountable, fans will continue to feel like their concerns aren't being addressed, and the season will continue to feel like an uphill battle with no clear direction in sight. This isn't just a critique of the press or the media. It's a reflection of the state of the team. Raiders fans are passionate because they care. They want transparency. They want leadership that reflects the reality of a 2-10 season, and they want accountability from the people running the show. Beat reporters have the opportunity to step up, to ask the hard questions, and to provide answers that fans can use to understand the path forward. But if they continue to avoid the hard truths, continue to allow rehearsed narratives to dominate the room, then the gap between the team and its supporters will only widen. And that's not just frustrating. It's unacceptable for a franchise that has seen the highs and lows of the NFL and expects better communication and clarity, especially during a season that is as rough as this one has been. All right, Raiders Nation, let's keep diving deeper into what's happening with this team, because the story doesn't end with just the glaring losses or the obvious struggles on the field. What we're seeing is a football team in transition, a full-scale rebuild that's testing the patience of every fan watching. Pete Carroll's press conferences feel like a masterclass in deflection, talking about mentality, teamwork, and positive communication. But when you peel back the words, you realize there's very little substance connecting them to what actually happens on the gridiron. This isn't just a 2-10 season. This is a team that is yet to find its identity, and the leadership hasn't provided the clarity that fans and players desperately need. It's exhausting to watch because the disconnect between the perception being crafted in these pressers and the reality on game day is massive. You can hear the coach trying to stay optimistic, trying to reassure the fan base that progress is happening, but on the field, it's chaos. Missed assignments, blown protections, poor decision-making. It all adds up to a team that's struggling to even look competitive, let alone contend. And it's not just the quarterback. Geno Smith has been under a microscope all season, and for good reason. His play has been inconsistent at best, and at worst, it's been a liability. But the questions in the press room rarely reflect the urgency of that situation. Instead, we get rehearsed talking points about good communication or building a mentality. The fans want to know why the quarterback who is supposed to lead this team is struggling so visibly, why mistakes keep piling up, and what concrete steps the coaching staff is taking to fix it. These aren't attacks. They're fundamental questions about accountability. And it's not only about accountability for Geno. It's about accountability for the decisions that impact the entire team. Why is Aiden O'Connell consistently kept as an emergency quarterback, effectively sidelined, when fans are begging to see him play? Why is the offensive line left in chaos, resulting in 26 sacks over 4 weeks without JPJ at center? These questions strike at the heart of why the team is floundering. Yet too often, the press avoids them in favor of soft, politically safe inquiries that produce canned answers. It's frustrating because the fans deserve better. Raiders Nation deserves clarity, honesty, and a sense that the organization is aware of what's happening both on and off the field. The team is in the middle of a rebuild, and that's a long-term project, but long-term projects require transparency. Fans are not only trying to understand the decisions made during games, but also the overarching strategy for the future. Beat reporters have a unique opportunity to bridge that gap, to bring meaningful questions to the podium, and to demand answers that reflect the reality of a struggling team. Instead, Far too often, those questions are superficial, leaving fans to turn to independent voices and online content creators to get even a fraction of the truth. And that's why people come to platforms like YouTube, because we aren't afraid to ask the tough questions, to push beyond the rehearsed narratives, and to demand answers that actually matter. Let's talk about the offensive line again, because it's a glaring example of where accountability and strategic decisions collide. The interior line has been a mess, leaving the quarterback vulnerable and limiting the team's offensive options. JPJ not being utilized at center has been a costly misstep, and yet the press seems hesitant to ask why that decision was made or how it will be corrected moving forward. DJ Glaze and Stone Forsythe have had moments of promise, but overall, the unit has struggled to protect the quarterback and establish a functional run game. Every sack allowed, every blown protection, isn't just a stat. It's a reflection of planning, preparation, and personnel decisions. And that's why fans want these questions asked, because understanding the why behind these failures is essential for anyone hoping to see progress. Without transparency, every loss feels like a repeat of the same mistakes, and the frustration continues to build. Now let's shift to coaching philosophy and decision-making. Pete Carroll has immense experience, but the reality is that even veterans can struggle when facing a rebuild of this magnitude. His decisions regarding quarterbacks, player rotations, and game plans all impact not just the current record, but the long-term health of the team. Fans are left to question why certain players are prioritized over others, why injuries or performance issues don't seem to trigger immediate adjustments, and why accountability seems inconsistent. For example, when Geno Smith throws an ill-advised pass resulting in an interception, the focus often shifts away from the error itself and instead highlights the opponent's skill. This deflection might make for a smoother press conference, but it does nothing to address the root cause of repeated mistakes. Fans want acknowledgement, analysis, and insight into the actual reasoning behind decisions, not vague praise for the opposing team or rehearsed optimism that glosses over glaring problems. Let's also discuss the relationship between media and fans, because it's a critical part of the picture. Beat reporters have access to information that fans cannot easily obtain, yet the way that access is utilized often feels disconnected from the priorities of the fan base. Too many questions are pre-screened or soft, designed to maintain appearances rather than confront reality. When reporters fail to ask the hard questions, it creates a vacuum of accountability. That's why independent voices thrive, because we're not afraid to ask what matters, to challenge the coaching staff on decisions, and to shine a light on issues that might otherwise be ignored. Fans want honesty, not rehearsed statements. They want analysis, not platitudes. And most importantly, they want the opportunity to understand the true state of their team, both for the current season and for what's coming next. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world is buzzing with a rumor that could shake up the landscape of the league. Brock Bowers, one of the most outspoken and fiery figures in college football, reportedly dropped a bombshell statement that has fans and insiders talking. He never plays for the Raiders again. The comment, made in a tone that left little room for interpretation, has sparked immediate speculation about what, or who, Bowers was referring to, and whether this signals the end of a relationship that many thought was untouchable. Sources close to Bowers hint that the remark might be connected to locker room tensions and off-field controversies that have lingered under the radar. The Raiders, known for their dramatic roster moves and headline-grabbing maneuvers, could be at the center of a clash with a player whose reputation for intensity is as legendary as his on-field skills. Fans are already dissecting every interview, post, and social media interaction, trying to piece together the context behind Bowers' strong declaration. Could this be about a potential draft pick, a rumored trade, or a player whose attitude has irked the young star? The possibilities are endless, and speculation is running wild. Adding fuel to the fire, insiders note that Bowers' loyalty to certain teammates and his commitment to team culture could be influencing his strong stance. Those familiar with his personality describe him as someone who values respect, accountability, and chemistry above all else. A figure unlikely to stay silent if he feels those values are being compromised. Meanwhile, Raiders fans are nervously watching, wondering whether the comment is just a spark of emotion or a sign of more significant friction within the organization. As whispers circulate throughout league circles, sports analysts are already debating potential consequences. Will this rumor alter the team's strategy moving forward? Could it influence upcoming drafts, trades, or player decisions? One thing is clear. When Brock Bowers speaks, even a single sentence can ripple across the NFL, igniting discussions, debates, and headlines. For now, the league holds its breath, eager to see if this fiery declaration will remain a tantalizing rumor or evolve into one of the most talked-about stories of the season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.